If you're enjoying our Chiefs training camp coverage so far, like this video, show some love here on the Chiefs Report, and you can expect to get more updates here on a daily basis. I'm Harrison Graham from Chat Sports, and on today's Chiefs Report, we're going to take a look at some cut candidates from ESPN as they unveiled their early 53-man roster projection during the front part of training camp. So we'll go through the projection and kind of take a look at a notable cut or two from each position here. So let's start with quarterback. We'll go offense to defense here. 3 making the 53-man roster: Patrick Mahomes, Blaine Gabbert, and Shane Buechele. All making the 53. Obviously, Mahomes going to be the starter. I think there's some question after that. Could Shane Buechele win the QB2 job? Is Blaine Gabbert a lock to make the team? I'm not sure that's for sure been finalized among this coaching staff. Still a lot of camp left to go. Chris Olodokun was the quarterback that got released. Nothing really to see there. Maybe he makes the practice squad, but he's kind of a distant fourth quarterback on the 53-man roster. One thing I think is very evident, I would say, this is a big training camp for Shane Buechele. This is his third year in the system, in this offense. It's one of those things where it's like, if he can't beat out Blaine Gabbert, how long are they going to keep him around as a third quarterback? Because you're hoping he can be a long-term backup because he's a young guy. You can keep him around. He's not really a threat to go start somewhere else. But can he show you enough where he can be that QB2? Like, eventually he's got to do that. I think they like him. I think they like the highs. I don't think they love the lows. I think it's a big camp for him. I would love to see him beat out Blaine Gabbert and be the backup quarterback, and then you could cut Blaine Gabbert loose and free up a roster spot. Okay, let's go to the running back position here. 4 players make it. Didn't know if ESPN would go 3 or 4 here. Isiah Pacheco, Jerick McKinnon, no surprises there. Clyde Edwards-Helaire still in there, as is Deneric Prince. Jerrion Ealy and Lamichael Pirine cut at the running back position. But I still wonder, what is the resolution to Clyde Edwards-Helaire situation? Now, maybe it's just he makes the team and he's a part of the rotation. I don't know. That's very much a possibility. But I know this Chiefs coaching staff likes Deneric Prince. How? They've told us. So I think he's going to make this team. Do you want to carry 4 running backs? You can, but you're not going to have 4 active on game days. So I still think Kansas City would be open to moving CEH. Now, cutting him doesn't save you any money, so I don't know if they would cut him outright if Prince flat out beats him out, but I still wonder about that situation. I think monitor other teams throughout camp. If there's a notable running back injury, they could come calling to trade for Edwards-Helaire. Will Clyde Edwards-Helaire get traded? What do you guys think? Type Y for yes, or you can type in for no. 50-50, I think it's possible. I think it depends on what transpires over the next month or so. Wide receiver position now, 6 players making the 53 per ESPN. Kadarius Toney, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Sky Moore, Rashee Rice. No surprises there. I think after that is when, the debate begins, right? Richie James Jr., who's had a good start to training camp, they have him making it. And then Justin Ross, the second-year player out of Clemson who was on IR of all of last season. But that leaves Justin Watson out of the mix. And I think this is the first one we get to here where you're like, that'd be a bit of a surprise, right? Like, Justin Watson is a player that showed a lot of good things last year. Patrick Mahomes during spring workouts and summer called Brett Veach and was like, yo, this Justin Watson guy is good. And he played pretty well for the Chiefs in 2022. Was a good special teamer, averaged, I want to say, like 20 yards per catch on offense as well. I would actually be a bit surprised if Justin Watson got cut. Now, if Justin Ross makes a ton of plays in camp and in the preseason and can have some special teams value, I don't think it would be as much as Watson. They'll be intrigued to keep him. I do think that will be the case, but, I think some of that depends on Richie James as well. I'd be a bit surprised, but I do see the avenue where it's possible that Justin Watson gets cut. 4 tight ends make it in this projection: Travis Kelce, Noah Gray, Jody Fortson, Blake Bell. I do think at least 4 make it, maybe even 5, but with this projection having 4 running backs, it'd be kind of a tough sell from a roster construction standpoint to have 9 backs and tight ends. So just 8 total there, 4 of them being tight ends. Notable cut is Matt Bushman, and this is a name I've said to keep an eye on throughout camp because He showed a lot in the preseason last year, had a good summer here as well, and I don't think Blake Bell is fully safe. I like Blake Bell, but he's got his limitations. He's getting a little bit older. Bushman's a younger guy who gives you more as a receiving threat, so that's something that intrigues me just a little bit, so I'm definitely keeping an eye on that throughout camp and in the preseason. Get yourself a Real One Chiefs t-shirt. Are you a real one? If you are, pick one up today. chatsports.com/RealKC. That link is in the comments and in the description. Get yourself a Real One Chiefs t-shirt today. Go to the offensive line now. 8 players making it, which is on the low end a little bit. Usually it's 8 or 9. You can't really go lower than 8. Donovan Smith, Joe Tooney, Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, Jawan Taylor, your starters from left to right. Wanogho Morris, the rookie out of Oklahoma, who you took in the 3rd round. Lucas Niang, who earlier in the offseason it sounded like he could start for this team, but then they added Smith, of course. And then Nick Allegretti, who's got center guard flexibility. The notable offensive line cut here is Darian Kinnard, who you took in the 5th round last year, but was inactive most of the season. He's got guard tackle flexibility, but he hasn't shown a ton to the Chiefs up to this point. Also, Prince Tega Wanogho, a guy who spent some time on the 53 a year ago. With Kinnard, though, entering his 2nd season, I do think he's going to make the team, and I'm keeping my eye on Lucas Niang. Now, if you asked me, I would say 9 make it, and it's the same 8 ESPN has, and then Kinnard makes it as well. There's your 9. I do wonder if Niang's a lock, though. I'm not convinced he is. Like, if he was a lock, then why did they sign Donovan Smith? Why did they draft Wanogho Morris in the 3rd round? Like, clearly they don't love where he's at, so that's something to monitor, I think, moving forward as well. Let's go to the defensive side of the football here. 9 defensive linemen. George Karlaftis, Charles Omenihu, Chris Jones, Derek Nottie, your projected starters there. Felix Adedike-Uzoma, Michael Dana, B.J. Thompson, Keandre Coburn, Danny Shelton, who was on the practice squad throughout last season. Notable cut, Tershawn Wharton, who tore his ACL last year, is currently on the PUP list. Now, that could be a scenario where he starts the season on the PUP list, where it frees up a roster spot, then you make a decision once he's fully healthy. Unclear if he'll be healthy before week 1 or not, so that's definitely an avenue where that could happen. Either way, though, the Chiefs might want to sign a defensive tackle, especially with Chris Jones holding out. I think Jones will be there week 1, but even with him there, you're pretty thin at that position. Like, you don't have a lot of high-quality players at that spot, so that's something to monitor. Obviously, they didn't sign DeAndre Hopkins, a player I wanted them to sign, but now go sign a defensive tackle. I think you need someone at that position to help give you some competition, if nothing else. Like, if Danny Shelton is poised to make the 53 when he was on the practice squad last year, he was good a few years ago, but that was a few years ago. Like, that's not a great situation for KC. Do the Chiefs need to sign a defensive tackle? What do you guys think? Type S for sign, or you can type P for pass. I certainly think that signing one makes a lot of sense. Let's go to the linebacker position now. 6 players in total, which did surprise me a bit. Nick Bolton, Willie Gay, Drew Tranquill, they're all pretty much locks. Leo Chenal, second-year player, he should be safe. Jack Cochran and Cam Jones, who's a UDFA. I think Cam Jones is a player that if a UDFA outside of Deneric Prince makes this team, he's someone to monitor. 6 feels heavy, though. The Chiefs play a lot of nickel. They run 3 safety sets sometimes. Like, so there's a lot of the time where the only 2 linebackers are on the field and 6 are going to make the team. I disagree with that. I think it's going to be 5. Like, if it's me, I'm going 5 backers and I'm adding a 9th offensive lineman. I think that makes way more sense based on how this team is constructed. So that's where I'm at. Nick Jones, you could put him on the you could put Jones on the practice squad. I should say Nick Jones a corner, obviously. But you could definitely go 5 and be just fine at linebacker. Subscribe to the channel if you want more Chiefs training camp news and updates. Hit that sub button. Turn on notifications. Like I said, if you enjoy the coverage so far, you can like the video as well. But very excited about what we're doing, so be sure to stay in the loop. Speaking of Nick Jones, let's go to the cornerback position here. 6 corners: Trent McDuffie, L'Jarius Sneed, Jalen Watson, Josh Williams. They're all locks. I think Najee Johnson's pretty safe. He's had a good start to camp. And then Nick Jones, 7th-round rookie, who's made some plays. Also, DiCaprio Bootle, a notable cut here, who I know they like as a special teamer, but you got to make tough decisions If Nick Jones makes it as a 7th-round rookie, he's going to have to play special teams. Najee Johnson is an excellent special teamer, which is why he's probably a lock. So I kind of agree with this notion. I think it's probably going to be 6, and it's probably going to be those 6. Safety position 4, Justin Reed, Brian Cook, Mike Edwards, who they signed, and then Jamari Conner. Obviously, Justin Reed taking on more of a leadership role this year. Brian Cook slated for a bigger role as he was the 3rd safety last year. I love Mike Edwards as a 3rd safety veteran who can come in and play. Notable cut here, Deon Bush, who's a special teams ace. So, again, they're going to need Jamari Conner to replace that production on special teams, and I think that's why they drafted Conner. They love him as a special teamer, and he's got some coverage skills. So maybe Bush is on the outside looking in, so we'll have to wait and see. Then your 3 specialists here, Harrison Butker, who's your kicker, Tommy Townsend, your punter, and James Winchester, the long snapper. No surprises expected here. Those will be the 3 specialists. Okay, that's it for today's Chiefs Report. You can give me a follow on Twitter right now, at HGramNFL for more NFL discussion. Until then, we'll see you next time.